Hi, I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, resources, hacks, and sometimes interviews to help savvy influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally establish, build, and cultivate your influence. Because we know that that's how we organically generate leads for our business, ministry, cause, or brand. And that is why we're here today. So welcome once again to another episode. Before we start, of course, I have to say thank you to our sponsor. So a special thank you to Rosedale Publishing. They specialize in business books for entrepreneurs just like you. So if you're in a market to get your book, your next book, or your first book published, that's who you need to reach out to. We would be happy to help you over there. So thank you, Rosedale, for sponsoring this show. And of course, the fine folks over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, where we are today. They truly make this show possible. So thank you. Okay, if you were here last week, you know that this is part 2 of a little mini-series. Last week we talked about part 1, and I'm just going to catch you up to speed really quickly and say we are covering the 8 ways to mind your own business. That's business strategy and mindset for the new entrepreneur. And it is the topic of our book that published last year, and we have a workbook coming out this year for it as well. So if you were on the journey to starting your first business, we just want to say congratulations, congratulations. We're so excited for you, and we would love to be a part of your journey as you build the business of your dreams. And that is some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. Last week, of course, we talked about the first 4 parts to minding your own business. And today is the last 4 ways to mind your own business. Okay. So let's just quickly go over them and we'll dive right into some good stuff for you. We're going to talk about prosperity matters, connection matters, customer matters, and then, of course, employee matters. Part 2 of 8 ways to mind your own business. Now, of course, if you didn't get an opportunity to watch last week's, please do that. Catch those first 4 because they are super important for those beginning startup pieces for the brand new entrepreneur. All right, let's dive into the good stuff today. Let's start with prosperity. Now, prosperity is something that brings different things to mind for different people, and really kind of a cautionary. It can be a difficult conversation for some people. Some people think of prosperity as abundance. Some people think of it as wealth. Some people think of it as just money. And some people think of it as all the pieces of their life represented, right? Prosperity in your relationships, prosperity in your business, your home life, your health. All those things can represent prosperity. But we are talking today specifically about prosperity in your business. So we're going to cover the value, not the bargain. We're going to talk about creating a budget and planning for some funding. So first, let's talk about the offer method. The offer method says that you want to price your products, services, whatever you have, so that you're adding value, not lowering the price. So we've all seen the stores compete. You know, we have a TV for $500. Okay, but we have the same TV for $400. And then the first company goes, oh, wait a minute, we're having a special blowout price for $350, right? That is what I call a race to the bottom. And that nobody wins in a race to the bottom. Well, I guess the person who gets the TV for $350 might feel like they're winning, but the store isn't winning. The employees who are being supported by the store, they might not be winning, might not be reflected in their wages. There's lots of different people to consider when you're talking about this, but specifically for you in your business, think about it this way. That same thing that someone else could probably get somewhere else, right? Some potential client could get somewhere else. Instead of giving a better price, why not add better value? That's what I mean by value, not bargain. You don't want to race to the bottom and make yours cheaper. You want people to say, oh, $50 here, $50 here. But guess what? Over here, I also get this and this and this. That makes this a better deal. So not discounting, because what that will do is that's going to actually attract bargain hunters, which bargain hunters, unless you're in a business or an industry that specifically targets bargain hunters, it isn't a good business model. So in my business, I don't lower prices, I don't do sales, and I don't give away things for free necessarily. I'm all about value offer stacking. I just give you more stuff so that my offer looks so good compared to that other offer. It's a no-brainer for you. That's what I'm talking about when I say value. Okay, let's talk about budget. Now, budget is a word that people don't like to hear. They don't like to talk about their budget. But a budget is nothing more than money in, money out, right? This is what are my expenses going to be and how am I going to meet those expenses? And your budget just says, I need to make this much money to cover this many bills and to have this much in my pocket. Because none of us are in business to lose money, right? We all start a business to make money, and we need to support our families and our lifestyle with our businesses. So, no brainer, but creating a budget right up front is super important. Now, Clara, how in the world can I create a budget when I'm just starting? I have no idea what things are going to cost. Well, that's true. So you're going to do a projected budget. You're going to say, my products and services should bring me this much money. These are the expenses that I know I'm going to incur. We all have some expenses, right? Your cell phone, your internet, there are hard fixed costs we can discover. We can determine those things in advance. So I think having a good handle on that gives you at least a starting point for a budget, a perspective budget. It might not be completely accurate at first, but as you go, you'll tweak it and change it as you discover, oh, I didn't think about this, or I didn't think about that. Oh, look, I could also sell this add-on and increase my revenue. Okay, and then the third part of prosperity, of course, is planning for funding. Now, if you are starting your new business, bootstrapping, or self-funding it in some way, maybe you have, you're pulling money out of a 401k, or you're, not that I recommend that. I'm just saying some people fund their new startup in those ways. Some people take out a second mortgage or, borrow from a friend or family member or however you're going to do it. My favorite has always been bootstrapping, right? Pay as you go if you can. Now, of course, if you're opening a retail establishment somewhere, you're going to have a pretty good chunk of money to pull that off to bootstrap. So you might be needing funding. Well, guess what? When you get funding from outside sources, they all have a process. Right? It's going to take longer than you think to get your funding in place, so plan accordingly. Can announce that you're going to open June 1st if your funding isn't going to come through until June 30th. So plan accordingly. And of course, the budget that you put together, those people that are going to provide funding to you, they are going to want to look at that budget. So it's going to be an important part of your business plan that they're going to ask for. Okay. Those are the basic important things about prosperity. Let's move on. We don't have as much time as I'd like to have. Let's talk connections. So I think the most important thing is creating your own commercial. Some people call it a 2-minute commercial, elevator speech, whatever you want to call it. It's really just you introducing yourself and your new business in a clear and concise way. So a definition of what you do in a way that leaves you sounding like a professional. Really important. And then, of course, the next is networking in your community. I love to network. Not everyone loves that piece, but I think it's your number one way to gain exposure in your own community is to get out there into your community. Show up, speak up, and make a difference in the world around you, and you will make those connections that are going to help you to grow and thrive as a business. And then, of course, cutting through the noise. It's a very noisy world out there. There's a ton of visual noise, digital noise to cut through. And the way that you're going to do that is being consistent and authentic with your interactions. So here I'm really talking a lot about social media. I think it's really important that we cut through the noise by being authentic and being consistent. So I know that's something that's a little scary for some people. If social media isn't your wheelhouse, if that's not your strong suit or your superpower, I'm going to say hire someone to help you with that, because it's a really important piece. Making connections is how you're going to acquire customers. And guess what? Without customers, you do not have a business, my friend. And of course, I have a pro tip for you for today for this is find where your ideal customer is hanging out and go connect with them there. They're out there. You got to get out there and find them and so that you can connect with them. All right, let's move on and talk about the customer themselves. Like I said just a second ago, without a customer, without customers, you do not have a business. So let's talk about your customers and taking good care of your customers. I would say the number one thing that I preach is about the art of serving. No matter what industry you are in, customer service is super important. So I would say if you could learn to master the art of customer service by going the extra mile, always being kind, always being compassionate, remember that somebody is going to remember if you made them feel valued as a human, right? They're going to remember how you made them feel. There's a famous quote. Of course, I can't come up with off the top of my head who said it, but they might not remember what you said, but they're going to always remember how you made them feel. So true and important. Okay, and then working from a place of integrity with your customers, I think that really rivals the customer service. For me, having integrity is probably the top of the list for me. It says to my customers, you can trust me. It creates loyalty and it rewards you for being authentically who you are and having integrity to do so. So I think that's a really important. That one's gold. If you can master the art of working from a place of integrity, your business will grow and thrive. And then showing appreciation. I don't think enough businesses do this. Remember, I said that customers are super important. In fact, they are your most valuable asset. So I would propose that if you don't show appreciation to your customers, that in time, you may indeed lose your customers. So I have a book recommendation for you. I'm going to call it recommended reading. It is People Over Profits. So it's been out for a while. Dale Partridge, I think is his name. Anyway, he has this wonderful book, People Over Profits, and actually talks to you about companies who started that way, and over time they lost that. For whatever reason, it happens, right? You lose focus. You start to worry about money and focus more on profits than you do the people that you're serving and the people who work with you to help serve them. And consistently, he could show patterns consistently of decline. So people that made, these really great, incredible companies that tanked or started to tank because they lost sight of what was important. And those are the customers. Those are the people. Those people matter. You have to take really good care of them. So that's my tip, my golden tip of the day. If you do nothing else after today, get a copy of that book and read that, because it's going to transform how you think about how you take care of your customers. Okay, moving along, employees. Now, you might be saying, Clara, I haven't even opened my doors yet, and you are talking about employees. The reason that I'm talking about them is because there's going to come a day, there's going to come a time when you are going to need extra help. And getting that extra help doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of employees, but that's one of the ways. So let's talk about how in the world can I get some extra help without having employees? Okay. Well, for instance, in my own business, I use a lot of freelancers. I am freelancers who maybe do some editing, freelancers who can help me with graphics. I also do contract work with people, and then I refer a lot of people. There are things that I don't do in my business in-house. I am not a graphic designer. Now, do I create a lot of my own graphic designs for my own use? Absolutely. I love that, but I'm not a professional at that. So I say that's best left to those who are the professional. So in-house, we don't do any of our own book covers. We don't do any of the art program for our books, which is your cover, any internal graphics, epigraphs, things of that nature. That's all an art program for your book. And there are professionals who do that beautifully. So I have several that I refer to on a regular basis because they're so talented. I know that they're going to do good work for my client, my customer. And so I just refer out to them. Now, they're not employees, but I trust them. They're trusted referral partners. Maybe that's the best way to put it. When I need extra help in my business on other things just based on volume, I reach out to subcontractors or I can hire freelancers. There's lots of people out there that can do things to help you out. Social media is a really easy place to hire out. Get someone to help you with that. You don't then have the expense and the heaviness, is a good way to put it, the burden of having a full-time employee. If you've never had employees before, that will probably take you by surprise. When you hire that first person, you are now responsible for someone else's wages and their taxes and their benefits if you're offering benefits. So until you're truly ready to take that leap and hire actual employees, in-house employees, you have to have a really strong foundation in your business. Now, of course, the exception is if you're opening a retail establishment. If you're going to open a coffee house, you probably are going to need staff when you open the door. Probably aren't going to do it on your own, right? So if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to need employees, I want to talk about a couple of other things before you do that. First of all, let's talk about a systemized way of hiring your employees. If every employee is vetted in the same way, interviewed in the same way, and hired in the same way, you're going to avoid potentially looking like you're discriminating, but you're also going to get better quality, more consistent quality in your employees that you hire. So if you have a system in place that says, here are my expectations for this job. This is what I need for this job. Here's what I'm going to pay for this job. And here's how I'm going to hire them. You have to send me a resume. If you don't send me a resume, you can't be considered for this position. I also want an application. So those are the two things to even get your foot in the door. And then next, if you qualify, if your resume qualifies, you're going to have a first interview. We'll do a Zoom call or whatever. And then if during the first interviews, I can narrow it down to somebody, to a few, you might have a second interview. So if you aren't willing to participate in that way, you don't make it as an employee, right? You don't get in the door because you haven't followed the rules to get there. Now, it sounds harsh, right? But if you have a worker that you know, let's use the coffee shop example. My coffee shop's going to open at 6 a.m. for the morning coffee crowd. So I want somebody who will show up at 5:30 every morning, 5 days a week, and get ready to open up. Well, that's a person that I'm going to interview them as early as possible, right? Because I want them to be an early person. So if you can't make it to an early interview, you probably aren't going to make it to an early morning job. So just be strategic. I guess that's the real word, strategic and intentional about your processes, systemized and intentional. And you're going to end up with the right people in the right positions. And then, of course, when you get the right people in the right positions, equip them for success. Honestly, if you don't properly equip your employees to be successful, you can't possibly hope to retain good employees. So offer trainings, offer advancement, offer all of the tools that they need to truly be successful. If someone's coming in with a introductory skill level on something, but you're expecting that they're going to learn new things, give them the tools that they need to learn those things. It seems like a no-brainer, but I see it over and over in businesses. When I step in later in a business and try to help them correct some of the culture problems they have or some of the things going on internally, those are the things we start by looking at. What are you doing to support your people? So are you having expectations of them that are unrealistic because you haven't provided the tools that they need to be successful? I would just say that's so common, and it's totally avoidable. So just know going in, how am I going to support my staff so that they can be successful? Because guess what? When they're successful, you're going to be more successful as a business, right? Successful people want to stay. They want to be engaged. They want to thrive in your business, and they will help your business thrive as well. Of course, I have a pro tip for you here. True leaders lead from the front. Be the kind of leader that they want to follow. You cannot be a leader by sitting in your office and barking orders at people. Leaders lead, right? The word even says it. That means they're in front, leading the charge, leading the culture, leading that awesome customer service. They are teaching by example. They are in front of the pack. Be the kind of leader that your employees want to be like. They want to follow you. They want to rally around you. It's truly about them self-identifying as being one of your people, one of your team, one of your crew, and being happy to be there. Whew. Sounds like a lot of information, doesn't it? Let's just recap before we run out of time. Okay, we talked about prosperity matters, right? Not necessarily money, but we did talk some money stuff. But prosperity comes in different ways, right? It could be a feeling of abundance. It could be wealth at home. Doesn't have to be just work, but we talked about work today. Connection matters, right? So making connections in your community, making connections online in the digital world, all the different places that we need to connect with people. Remember, we want to show up, speak up, and make a difference so that we can build those relationships that's going to make a difference in our business. And then customer matters, remembering that customers are our most valuable asset, and those are the people who make it possible for us to even have a business. So take good care of them, master the art of good customer service, and they will become raving fans who keep coming back. That you can see the companies that do that well, they create almost a cult-like following, right? Brands that create those followings, they have taken good care of their customers. And then finally, employee matters. Understanding that you don't necessarily have to hire employees outside of the gate unless you're a retail establishment. And you can find other ways to help you grow your business until you truly feel ready for that next step, which is hiring actual people to work in your business with you. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that. If you would like more information, you can actually read the book. You can get a copy of the book at clararose.com/resources. There's a link on there. It's actually a couple of my books on there, but the link to this book is on there. You can click through. It will take you over to Amazon, where you can actually purchase your own copy of the book, and watch for later this year for our workbook that goes with that. And then, of course, coming soon is Publishing Matters. So everything you need to know about publishing. And we're afraid to ask. No, that's not it. Just everything that you need to know about publishing. And that is due out later. Hopefully by the end of this month, that will be published and you can get a copy of that. We are super excited about all the wonderful things happening over at Intentional Influence and Rosedale Publishing, of course. You can read more about them at clararose.com. Tells you all of the things that we can help you with in building influence. We can help you write, we can help you speak, and we can help you lead to, of course, establish, cultivate, build, grow your influence. And that's going to generate leads for you and your business, ministry, cause, or brand. Okay, now I have an ask from you. For those of you who are regulars here, please hop in the comments over on YouTube and say hello to me. I'm looking for new questions that I can answer for you always. So if you send them to hello@clararose.com, just say, hey, my name is whatever, and here's my question, and I will try to weave all of those questions into a future show and answer them for you live. And if you tell me how you'd like for me to introduce you, I will even give you a little plug. So if you have your own business already or you're just a startup, that's a great way to get your name out there to all of my followers. And I'm happy to say this question was from so-and-so at this company and how they can contact you. I'm happy to do that for you. And then, of course, next week, I have a special guest coming. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks. I think next week is for sure it. Her book is launching. It's one of my clients, and we are super excited about the launch of her new book. It is beautiful, and we are thrilled to be participating in this with her. She's an up-and-coming author, also has a course about to launch, which is amazing. And I'm just super proud of the following that she has started and grown around anxiety and getting rid of anxiety and fear. I'm just super proud of her. Her name is Amy Debrick, and hopefully next week she's going to be here with us. Okay, we are out of time today, but once again, thank you for showing up and spending this time with me. I hope that you grab your copy of 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business. If you want a signed copy, you can always drop me an email and let me know. We can work it out that way. I'm happy to sign a copy. And I am always looking for influencers just like you who would like to be on this show. If that's you and you have a business already going and you would love to talk about it on my show, drop me an email, hello@clararose.com. Tell me all about your business and be sure to include some social media links so I can go and spy on you. No, that's not the right word. So I can check you out. And then I will reach out to you. If you're a good fit, we'll get you on the show. Okay, running out of time now. I will see you next week. But remember to write, speak, and lead, because influence matters, my friend. Have a good week.